Hello, this is Rex White, and today I'm going to go into the beginning stages of becoming an entrepreneur. For those who don't know me, I am an entrepreneur since 2020, full-time entrepreneur. But I've always dabbled in entrepreneurship since I was a kid, actually. I was a kid that used to sell New Edition Candy Girl lyrics for 5 cents. And so the allure of creating money off of ideas has always been something that really appealed to me. And so therefore, it just made sense at some point in my life I became a full-time entrepreneur. And so let's kind of get into it. Um, what I want to do is I want to go through the beginning stages of an entrepreneurship endeavor. What it requires is an external battle, external movement activity, and an internal battle. So what I'm saying basically is every move that you make externally to move the needle from an idea to something that's transactable, it requires an internal move as well. And so the first part of an entrepreneur endeavor is to have the right idea. The right idea is in the right industry. The right industry is one that's not dying. It's a thriving industry. Like if you're going into a business right now and it involves tech, AI, or you can use those tools for that business, you're probably in the right business. You also got to look at the industry where it's going. If it's thriving, is there more players moving into the space, then it's probably a good industry. If it's going to die, like let's just say Uber and Lyft with people driving people, that's not a good industry to get into because eventually the Waymos of the world, who just partnered up with Uber, is now transporting people without people. And so you have to examine the entirety of the industry that you're going to go into. With that being said, no matter what industry you go into or what kind of entrepreneur endeavor that you're going to go into, whether it's a service or a product, you have to work on your internals as well. What am I saying? I'm saying that entrepreneurship is hard. It's not for everybody. And most people run out of steam before they get to the point of success. Success normally happens in entrepreneurship for those who can withstand challenges, obstacles, setbacks, heartbreaks, stress. You almost really hit rock bottom before you can hit the success curve, which means that to kind of guarantee your success as an entrepreneur, it's best that you have a significant why, reason why you want to be an entrepreneur. I believe that a good why is desperation. In other words, you have no other options. There's a thing called the power of no options. Never underestimate the power of no options. And so, if you have no options but to succeed, you got it in you. In other words, you got things that you need to succeed, whether it be salesmanship, ability to create a product, skills in some area, you're in the right location, good work ethic, good attitude. If you got these raw things, then you could probably figure it out if you have to. Not a lot of people have to, though. They have day jobs, they got careers, which gets them in a situation where they can take it or leave it, become an entrepreneur. They just don't have the time to allocate to it, or they don't have the resources, etc. But if you have options and you want to become an entrepreneur, you got to develop your own why. You got to examine around you what's most important to you that you want to go build something for. I think kids are great, family, poverty, whatever, but it's got to be big enough for you to continue your journey to get to the point where you give yourself time to master something. And then once you master it, whether it costs you everything you have, all the sacrifices and time and money, and you still withstand because you know at some point it's all going to pay you back later. It's a deferred payment. Entrepreneurship is not something that's going to pay you right away. Um, you're going to take 5 steps forward, 10 steps back, and you're going to do this for years and years and years until finally you break through. But what happens is everything that you do from day one as an entrepreneur starts to pay you back. And it's following you unless you give up. If you give up, it's all for naught. And once you give up, and you try to restart, you got to start from scratch all over again. So as an entrepreneur, create a significant why. At the same time, you create a plan to find an industry that you are going to build in. So let's get into my story. I got laid off during COVID, 48 years old, didn't know what I was going to do for a living. I had 3 previous careers, of which no one was hiring in those careers because COVID happened. And so I was looking for ideas. It's early 2020, trying to find an idea to build something significant in. Now, the curve that I created, which was a 10-year curve where I wanted to build something significant, happened a year earlier, 2019. I didn't know what industry I wanted to build in, but I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur full time and build something significant from 2020 to 2019. And this is before I even knew COVID was going to happen. As fate would have it, I got laid off during COVID, and here I was, no options, and I had to start a entrepreneur business out of dire straits, out of no resources, out of no options. So I was searching. The idea that came to me was in the seafood space, and I said, "Oh, okay, that's $1 billion industry." And I can create a niche in the seafood space. So I started sourcing seafood off the Atlantic coast, distributing it through the Carolinas, home delivery while the world was shutting in. So there was an opportunity. There was a demand. There was an opportunity. No one was doing the kind of seafood I was doing, which is live blue crabs. No one was bringing in live blue crabs into the Carolinas, not to your house, especially. So I had an idea. I had a why. I had no other options, and I had children that I wanted to at least build something significant for. And so what I did was I created a website called livebluecrabdelivery.com, and I posted it to an audience who said they wanted live blue crabs delivered to their house. Now, internally, I'm like, oh shit, this is weird. I mean, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't have any experience in seafood. Well, I created the website. I went to an audience that said, yes, we would like live blue crabs delivered to our house. And they started pre-ordering. The pre-order money, now we're talking about March, April 2020, the pre-order money gave me upstart capital to go buy the crabs. Unfortunately for me, I had a friend who was in the seafood business. And he had a seafood market. So he was sourcing for me, giving them to me or selling to me, and I go deliver them to my customers in a car. Anyone who knows about live blue crabs, you only got a 3-day life expectancy outside of the water. They got to be in 45, 47 to 52 degree temperatures, and they cannibalize if they get antsy and the temperature is not in that range. And so not a whole lot of room for error, a lot of room for attrition, which happened. Nevertheless, people started ordering more pre-orders. And so I started flipping money. I said, oh shit, this idea might have some credibility. And so I decided to go ahead and eventually buy a truck within like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I went and got a building, and I turned it into a curbside pickup location plus a delivery business in April, May of 2020. Now my customers started asking for more stuff. They knew I was sourcing off the Atlantic coast. They said, well, can we get shrimp? Can we get live fresh fish? Can we get oysters? And every answer I replied was yes. I can get whatever you want me to get. And so I went from a plan in 2019 to an idea. I had a big enough why. My internal challenges was something that was important to me to keep me going. And now I'm starting to prove the idea with no money down. No money down. Pre-orders was financing more crabs. Pre-orders was financing a truck. Pre-orders was financing a building. Pre-orders is financing a formalization. Now we're in April, May, and I'm like, oh, this is a business. This might be a business. So let me go ahead and get my ducks in a row, create an LLC. Let me get an EIN number, a business checking account, get right with the cities and the states, and start to see how big this can be. Again, the industry's thriving. It was essential at the time. is essential and will always be essential. And I figure that is no monopoly or oligopoly in the seafood distribution space big enough to kick me out of it, because it's still heavily, it's a lot of competition in it, and it's a lot of capitalism in the space, in the food space. Everyone gets paid off of food. I mean, food is one of the most challenging industries to be in. And I'll get into that a little bit later and figure out how I solved the the food business, how I solve how you can make money in it and thrive inside the business. So I'm going to kind of leave it right there. This video is just an introduction to the food industry for food entrepreneurs, but the lessons I've learned, the principles that I'll teach, are relevant to any entrepreneur endeavor, whether it's a product or a service. There's an exterior thing you got to go through, the activity, and to keep moving the needle, but have some intelligence to it. And tools like AI tools can help you with that. But there's also internal challenges and battles that get you fortified to move your way up this curve. All right. So more to come. This is Rex White. I'm a food entrepreneur. In particular, I specialize in Cajun, Creole, restaurant concepts, restaurants, branding, and other stuff, cookbooks, etc. We'll get into more of that stuff later. Hopefully this video helps. Please share it, and please stay tuned for more videos from Rex White. Until later, bye. Peace out.